right, for some more reaction then on the break-in at the President's farm, we are joined now by ANC Veterans League President, Dr. Snuki Zikalala. Bob Zikalala, good evening, and thank you very much for your time and for joining us. We start with that chaotic scene in Parliament, and it is born out of the fact that parliamentarians feel the President is not the person credible to address them today because of the discovery of what we've learned happened at his farm, which he tried to conceal. How do you respond to the kind of uproar that this has created in society?
Well, I think it's an unnecessary uproar because, as you say, you are saying that incorrectly so, that the President tried to conceal it, and it's a robbery in his farm that took place in 2022. Now you ask yourself, why have people kept quiet for so long, unless if there is an ulterior motive of doing so? Because if Arthur Fraser knew as the head of intelligence in 2022 when it happened, why didn't he reveal it? Why didn't he ensure that that is corrected immediately? Why is he doing it now? And so it creates a lot of suspicion. There is a motive behind this. And I think we'll assume that the motive, firstly, is that we all know that the news, especially on those who have looted state resources and people's monies of billions of rands, is tightening. And as you have seen now that the Zondo Commission, this report has led to a number of senior people, especially in Transnet, who have now been charged and implicated in money laundering, in looting of state resources. And so the question, ask yourself, why are they revealing it now? And it's a robbery in his farm. And I think as Veterans League, we are saying that let's allow the due process to take place. Currently, the President has not been criminally charged for money laundering, or has not been charged for actually himself being robbed in his own farm. And so the process must be unfolded. The state law enforcement agencies must do their work. And after they have done their work, is then that we'll be able to say they are the ones who have to lay charges, if charges are to be laid. And so as the African National Congress and the National Working Committee, as Comrade Pulemabe said, is that the President agreed that he'll appear in front of the Integrity Commission to say whether this act that was purported by Arthur Fraser, did it dent the integrity of the organization? Yeah. Did he do it willingly to dent the image of the organization? And we, as Veterans League, we assume that it was done intentionally, and because he's the only president currently who's determined and committed to hold those who looted millions of billions of rands from the poor to be held accountable. And so that is why there's such revelations are coming now, when the last report of the Zondo Commission is going to be released by June, and implicates a number of people, number of senior people. And so that's why we are saying we are very suspicious of that.
So the spokesperson, Dr. Zikalala, of the President himself says, no, the President did not want to alarm the farmers in the area, and so didn't make a big report around this particular issue, didn't report or open a case with the SAPS. So it's not necessarily saying, we are saying he concealed it. He himself says he did not, but reported to the Presidential Protection Service. Now there's a question around whether or not that would be the way to go.
Well, we would not to get involved and entangled in those discussions, because what the President said is that he reported to the matter to the head of his security. Yeah. So the head of security is the one who's supposed to have done the investigation and inform the police, because the President is not head of security, and it's state security for that matter. They should have done their job. And so they have to question, why were they keeping quiet about it, to look after the President, to make sure that his play happening. And so they need to be questioned. And that's our view. Why also have they kept quiet all this time? And they wait for Arthur Fraser to come up with the so-called bombshell that the President was robbed in his farm. And so the President did not steal public money. The President did not loot state resources. But the very same security people are the ones who are supposed to be held accountable.
Yeah. As a Veterans League, are you not finding any holes in the response given by the President, for example, around the clarity of how much in U.S. or foreign currency was actually on the farm?
Well, he says it's not the $4 million that was stolen, and we are not there. We don't know what is happening, and so we can't speculate, really. It's only him and, of course, his managers on the farm who can be able to see what happened, how much money was there. And so we can't speculate, really. It's up to him and his managers, because he does not manage the farm, because he's full-time in government, and that is private farm. And in as far as we know, he has appointed people to run his farm on his behalf. And so they should also be held accountable to say how much money was there in the kitty. And of course, they should have informed him that we have sold so many rhinos. This is how much we're able to get. And so they're supposed to have accounted to him. And so we don't know the nitty-gritties. The only thing that we are saying, let's wait for the law enforcement agencies to continue their investigations. And we believe with the Veterans League that they are competent, and they'll be able to give us a thorough report, not a biased report, a thorough report that make us to comment after they've done their thorough investigations.
Yeah. What do you make of the opposition party, EFF's critique of the veterans, saying, I mean, I'm paraphrasing, it's not their exact words, but essentially are saying you're treating this matter of the president with kids' gloves. Had it been the previous president, you were up in arms. There was complete outdrawn statements everywhere, but you've been very quiet around this particular president.
Well, we're quiet because there's nothing to say. The president had said he himself, we can't accuse him of stealing state money. We can't accuse him of flouting the law because we don't know the details. But with the previous president, we knew what was happening. We knew that the Guptas were running this country. We knew that billions of rands were looted from state coffers. We knew that the police, the security, the intelligence, the economy was run by rogues, especially on the side of the Guptas. We knew that, and so we couldn't keep quiet. And the integrity of the organization was going on a downward spiral, and so we couldn't keep quiet, and we won't keep quiet. If anything that is going to dent the image of this country, the image of the organization, as you know, that we are taking a beating from especially from the voters because they're not happy with our performance economically, and so we can't allow that to happen. And so in as far as we're concerned, we're not keeping quiet because he's our favorite person. No, let's put the facts on the table. With the previous president, there were facts on the table. And so with this current president, we know that he's committed in ensuring that those who stole billions of rands are brought to book. That's what we know. Yep. And that's why we have confidence in him.
Suspended Secretary General of the ANC says the step-aside rule must apply to everyone equally, and therefore should apply to the president, because his reading of it is that those who are facing charges and those who are facing serious allegations against them should step aside.
No, our rules were adopted by the NEC, which is the highest decision-making body, and we also, these are the recommendations. Actually, those are policy documents of the ANC from the 54th conference, saying that whoever is being criminally charged must step aside. Who's criminally charged? There are people who are alleged to have stolen money, but they have not stepped aside because they have not been criminally charged. Yeah. And so I don't know what our SG is talking about. By the way, he's still our SG because he's been suspended because of criminal charges against him, but he's still the SG. I don't know what the SG is saying because he knows the law. He knows exactly what our policy is saying. And so it's unfortunate that he says that he must step aside now because of these allegations. These are allegations. And our comrades who are facing allegations, we're not saying that they should step aside. They'll only step aside when they are criminally charged.
Yeah. UDM calling for the president to take leave of office because there might, of course, be transparency issues and interference with investigations where you have police. I mean, as the president, he appoints police commissioners, he appoints certain people. And therefore, for those people to have freedom to investigate the president must take leave of office. What's the Veterans League on that?
No, we don't agree with that. Why should he take leave of absence? This president is one president who's made it very clear that he won't tamper, he won't interfere with the work of people who are dealing with law enforcement. He won't do that because he knows that we are living in a society where there's democracy, where every move is being watched by society. And so we don't believe that he'll be able to instruct the law enforcement agencies not to investigate as to what happened in his farm when his farm was robbed. And actually, all that they should also investigate, why were they quiet for more than 2 years? Why were they quiet? Yeah. This happened in 2022, and so why were they quiet all the time?
Yeah. From just the conversation, I get a sense that you think maybe there were, for example, institutions like SSA, maybe like Presidential Protection Services, who were supposed to do something and they didn't do it. Or there was a lapse or a lack of diligence in carrying out their duties.
Yeah, there was lack of that, and so I think they should be held to account. They should definitely be. It means that our president is not safe in their hands. That's what it means. And so I think those are questions that need to be answered. And so those who are responsible for his security must answer, must definitely answer. People cannot go and rob the president in his farm. And so it means that the life of our president is at risk, is in danger, because those who are assigned to look after him, and they are earning good salaries. And so they committed themselves that they will guard the life of the president and his family, because that's what the electorate elected him to do. And so they have to be questioned as well, to say, why was there lack of security at this farm? And why did they keep quiet for so long when this robbery took place? And why were those perpetrators not arrested? The president does not make arrests. The president does not investigate. And so we can't put the blame squarely on him. He instructed them to go and report the matter according to what we had. But if they haven't, and so they must be held to account.
ANC Veterans League President Dr. Snuki Zikalala, appreciate your time, and thank you very much for joining us tonight here on In Focus.